Daylight savings time. Daylight saving time, I should say. In spring, we change our clocks. Do we change the time so it's earlier or later? In spring. In spring.
It's later. You go forward later.
Now, here is exactly why I'm talking about this right now. Instead of talking about time first, I'm going to give you an anchor which I hope I find helpful and I hope you find helpful as well. In spring, you're coming out of winter, right? So is the sun coming up earlier or is it coming up later?
Earlier.
Sunrise is earlier. So, think about this, right? Yeah, Soph, do you have a question or a thought? So they say spring forward, fall back, which is an American way of saying it. Because fall, but I still find, and this is, I still want to talk about this because people still find that confusing. Okay. If sunrise is earlier, think about what this means. Okay. You look out the window and it's like 6 a.m. It's 6 a.m. and you're like, I don't want to get up at 6 a.m. But the sun is already getting up and it's getting up earlier and earlier and earlier. Does that make sense? So here's what we do. We change 6 a.m. into 7 a.m. Okay? Because we're like, look, it's bright, get up, do something, right? It's not some weird ungodly hour. It's plenty bright out there, there's plenty of light. It's a time when everyone should be out and about, okay? So we change the clocks, we move them forward, okay? So we spring forward. And during summer, the sunrise keeps on getting earlier and earlier, and that way you don't get up and think, oh my goodness, it's so bright outside, but it's still quite an early time. We bring it forward, okay? When do we change it? For us, we would say in autumn. But if you want to use what other parts of the world say, fall. By the way, why is it called fall? The leaves all fall down. In autumn, sunrise is later. So we were in daylight saving time all the way through spring and summer, but then the sun starts to get up later and later and later, and you're like, it's 7 a.m. or 8 a.m. and it's still dark out there. What's going on? So what we do is we bring the clocks back to what they were before. So we would change, say 7 a.m. We're like, my goodness, it's dark out there. No one wants to get up at this time. So we change that into 6 a.m. We change the clocks back. Yeah, so why do we do this? Why do we do this? It's because we're trying to take advantage of these things, right? Put it this way, right? When the sun is up, people can do stuff a lot more easily than, I mean, I know we have electric light and all that kind of thing, but you can function, you don't need to, there are certain things that can't be done until the sun is up. Like say, a lot of construction work, you can't just, it's expensive to put lights everywhere, okay? So the time that the sun comes up is an important time to say, okay, now that there is light, we can start doing stuff. We should start doing stuff, okay? Otherwise, you're basically sleeping and wasting, as opposed to saving. You're wasting all this time when there's daylight. You should use that time. So therefore, we change the clocks in this way, okay? Now, along with forward and back, I want to talk about sleep, right? Because we talk about losing sleep and gaining sleep. Which one is which? If we move the clocks forward, right? So now 6 a.m. is 7 a.m. now, right? Think about this, okay? If 6 a.m. has been changed into 7 a.m. and school starts at 8:30, right? So you walk in, but everyone's clocks don't say 8:30 anymore. What's happened to the clocks? They say 9:30. So you're like, wait, I'm late. I missed almost all of period 1. So what are you going to have to do to actually be on time? You're going to have to wake up earlier. Does this make sense? So you have lost an hour of sleep because you've got to wake up earlier to be in keeping with the sunrise and daylight saving time.
But you also go to bed earlier. Hypothetically, you go to bed earlier.
Haha, that's funny. So now, therefore, as an opposite, right? In autumn, as things get colder, you gain sleep,
So why am I
right?
more tired in 14 minutes?
Okay,
Because it's still dark when you wake up.
that's right.
So your body goes, you must be sleeping.
So circadian rhythm and all that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Okay, does this make sense? Is this okay? So thankfully Australia, we're pretty simple in that we only do 1 hour. Other places around the world, some places do weird half-hour things, but we try to keep it relatively simple.